If you feel like you have been spiritually, physically, and emotionally off recently and burnt out and tired, then this video is for you. Hi, my name is Olivia, and welcome back to Blade of Desire. This is your home for all things spiritual, astrological, and wellness related, all in one. This video is an invitation to reset, and I don't mean with empty, absent-minded productivity hacks that are just going to burn you out even more. I wanted to present to you all today some steps and actionable tips to help you spiritually reset when you need it the most. I think it's really important that our reset routines are rooted in grounding and spiritual well-being, because that's really how we adapt to be our best selves and feel like our best selves in the end. So I wanted to present to you all just a few things that I myself love to do when I feel like I'm in need of a spiritual reset for myself. Now, of course, take these steps and tips as you will. They don't have to be followed directly, and really they aren't meant to be. This is what works for me. And I say that with importance because it's what works for me specifically. And just because something works for me doesn't mean that it will work for everyone else. So really digging deep and finding the routine that works best for you is the biggest takeaway that I can really provide from this video. So I recommend maybe starting with the tips that I've provided and researched today for you all, but then adapting it to be your very own, because that's going to be key in this process. I have several videos in a series on my TikTok, and I believe maybe a YouTube video as well, all about wellness and astrology. So I also really recommend checking those two things out as well, because adapting your self-care and wellness rituals and routines to your own birth chart is also extremely beneficial, and it's something that I want to dive deeper into in the future. So I highly recommend checking those out as kind of like a preliminary for now, and then hopefully in the future we'll dive in a little bit deeper into how astrology affects your self-care, or how it can affect your self-care routine. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. Here are some actionable steps that you can take for a mindful and spiritual reset, because we all deserve it. The first tip that I have for you all is probably one of the most important ones, and that is to both ground and cleanse your energy. Now, this is something that I attempt to implement on a daily basis, especially grounding, because it keeps us in our body and it keeps us concentrated on what's important and what's around us in the moment. And if we aren't doing that, it's easy for us to become more in our head and less focused on the things that we should be worrying about, especially in the world today that encourages such overstimulation and be constantly going, constantly being productive energy. It's really easy for us to lose sight of what feeling grounded is and what it feels like to be grounded in our own bodies. So that's why I highly recommend starting with this when you're doing any sort of spiritual reset. I think that this will give you the best results. The most important thing that we can tackle with grounding is, how do we ground our bodies in general? And I recommend this 3 different ways. So that is yoga and stretching, breath work, and then energetic cleansing. So we'll kind of go over those 3 and important tips from all 3 of those subsections. Stretching is so important because it activates our body's parasympathetic nervous system, which is the part of our nervous system that keeps us calm and grounded. And doing certain poses and certain stretches is going to open up and align different parts of our bodies. So think about, for example, the chakras. When we are concentrated on certain poses that are related to certain chakras, then we're able to exercise those and open those up and help to ground them in our present and physical body. So I recommend paying attention to where you feel blockages in your body with the chakras and where you feel like energy might be wound up, and focusing on those during your next stretch session, because I think that you can find a lot of peace in actively working out those blockages and troubled areas in your body. One pose that I really recommend is the yogi squat, because that will help open up our hips. And our hips is what holds stress and trauma. It's all stored in that area. So by doing a yogi squat, we're able to kind of open up and let go of and ground ourselves away from those repressed emotions and anxieties. I also recommend the seated forward fold, as this opens up your vagus nerve, which is known to help with anxiety and stress. And it also just stretches out and elongates the spine, because usually that's in the opposite of that position you think when we're sitting straight up. So it helps to open up parts of the body that we usually aren't opening up, which is really important. It kind of gives each part of our body a moment to wake up and to relax. I also recommend the reclined bound angle for a good stretch, because this will open up your pelvic floor and your womb area, which is really good for emotional grounding, as you hold a lot of suppressed emotions in this area. So just notice in your body where you feel tightness. Again, a lot of women hold tightness in their pelvic floor area, and that's why you see a lot of women go to physical therapy and do specific exercises for this region of their body, because a lot of times there is a lot of stored emotion stuck in this part of our body. So it's really important to fully stretch that out and feel it as it is. I also recommend neck rolls and shoulder rolls. Those are really basic stretches, but they do help to loosen up all this area right here that tends to stay tight, especially if you are sitting at a desk all day, which I know that a lot of us are. And this is what keeps your shoulders tight, because you're sitting like this all the time and your neck muscles become tense, especially if you're a jaw clencher like I am. So it's really important to be doing stretches to loosen your upper body as well and let those muscles relax. The next thing that I recommend for a reset and a grounding experience is breath work. The method that I recommend the most is 4-7-8 breathing. So that's breathing in for 4, holding for 7, and then exhaling for 8 seconds. I think that this tends to work really, really well. And when your exhales are longer than your inhales, then I believe that signals to your vagus nerve to relax and release stored tension, and it helps with anxiety. So that's another really important thing to remember, that if you're doing breath work to help with anxiety, make your exhales longer than your inhales, and that will help with your results. The last thing that I recommend to ground yourself is an energetic cleanse, which can be represented in many ways. The method that I recommend the most is, of course, probably the most common one, and that is cleansing with Palo Santo. I think that it just works very, very well. It's very ritualistic, and the scent of it is very calming. And because I'm so used to doing this when I want to have a grounding experience, just smelling Palo Santo kind of puts me in that mindset, if that makes sense, similar to like lavender or peppermint or whatever other calming scents people like to use. So I I recommend Palo Santo first and foremost. And the way that I like to use it is by circling it around my body, just like this, usually from the bottom up, but I don't really see it making much of a difference here, so whichever direction you prefer. And I also prefer to set an intention before, so it could be about grounding, it could not be about grounding, but whatever you have in mind, be sure to set that intention and cleanse your body in that sense. If you don't have any Palo Santo, that's totally okay. I also recommend cleansing yourself to things like a tuning fork or a sound bowl, or you can do sort of like a DIY wash or bath with certain ingredients added into it. There's a lot of different things that you can literally just Google and look up that are super helpful rituals and routines for grounding and cleansing. So I recommend that as an alternative if you don't happen to have any Palo Santo around. Overall, it's important to honor our energetic hygiene and the routine that we do have, because you have to think we're picking up outside energy all day and we're reacting to it all day and we're sitting in its vibrations and frequencies all day. So resetting your energy is going to bring you back to your own body and your own natal frequency and your own being, and that is what is most important, and that is overall what we're really striving for here. Once you have cleansed yourself energetically and done some stretching for grounding work, then I recommend moving on to next a little bit of a mental cleanse, and that will be done through journaling and tarot work. There are so many different ways that you can journal, and I know that you all know this, so I won't go too in depth, but I do think journaling is so important because it gets out the emotions that are stuck in you mentally and emotionally, and it allows you to sort through the things that are on your mind, both consciously and subconsciously. I think the routine that I would recommend most is a quick journal in the morning and the evening both, because you can sort of get everything out on paper before you start your day and before you end your day. And I think both of those are really, really important, because you're able to start your day on the right foot and you're able to end your day knowing that you'll get good rest and all of those thoughts are cleared from your head. Some good journaling prompts that I really recommend are asking yourself what emotions are stuck in your body and where you feel them. Asking yourself what you might be afraid to let go of right now or change in your life for self-betterment and self-growth. And also, what are you holding on to that isn't yours to keep? That's a really good one to think about. I also recommend doing a tarot pool. I think that is extremely helpful to make sense of what you're feeling and to get some guidance from spirit. So I recommend doing a 3-card spread, and one that you can do is here. Your first card will be the root cause of your misalignment. And then the middle card will be the step that needs to be taken to realign yourself. And third will be the lesson that you will learn in this realignment. So that's just a really quick and easy tarot spread that you can do at home. And of course, I do recommend journaling about it afterwards. That's something that really helps, one, with just processing a tarot pool, but also if you're one that wants to learn tarot and get a better understanding of it, then I think that journaling really helps with that process, because it essentially makes you analyze every aspect of the card itself. So again, I just think it's a really helpful and good way to learn tarot. So we've cleansed ourselves both physically and emotionally. So I think what we should put next is cleansing our space around us and our environment. Off the bat, there are 3 different places in your home that I recommend cleaning and clearing out and keeping organized more than anything. Those will be your bed or sleeping area, your front door or entryway, and then I also recommend keeping the cleanest your workspace. So important to keep your bed clean and organized at all times because it affects rest and receptivity to rest. I think that when you are going to bed in a cluttered bed with things on top of it and it's all haphazard and it's never made, then it just creates this messy space for your brain to come home to, because you have to think you're going to bed and you're waking up in bed in the same area. And when you're starting and ending your day in a cluttered space, then you're not able to really function properly. And all of that energy that is sitting around you is going to rub off on you. So keeping your space sacred, especially your bed for sleep only, is so important. And that includes the activities that you're doing as well. So remember that the bed is for sleep only. And that is it. I also recommend keeping your entryway or doorway always a sacred space that's clear and clean of clutter, because in the principles of Feng Shui, that is where opportunity enters. So it's really important to keep that pathway clear so that energy can flow through as it needs to. It's important to keep your workspace clear because that is where your purpose lies, and that is where you feel your purpose and exercise your purpose every single day. So having that mental space that's clear and focused and ready to go will keep you more productive in the end and more aligned with your purpose and your goals. Going off of more Feng Shui principles, there is also a grid in Feng Shui that is usually followed that essentially names off different areas of your home and your space and what they should be dedicated to. So I think that's another really important thing that you can follow in sort of a ritualistic reset, because it helps to honor the principles of Feng Shui and helps to honor the energy that should take place in your home. In this map, it's represented by things to the left, in the center, and to the right. So you can follow that as in the whole space itself or room per room, whatever works best for you. But the left is for wealth, the center is for health and vitality, and then the right is for relationships. So green plants and wood go well in the left. Crystals or yellows are best in your center space, and pairs of items are best in your right areas of your space. The next thing that I recommend for a spiritual cleanse is cleansing your body more so internally. So we've done the stretching and the breathing and all of the grounding work. But now we want to work on what's inside. So this is going to be more so what we're eating and what we're putting into our bodies. I always recommend just a general reset day. So a day where you're taking it easier on your body and on your stomach. So waking up, doing lots of water and doing like lemon water or apple cider vinegar or anything like that to sort of cleanse impurities. I also recommend greens powder. That's something that I like to do personally myself quite often. I try and drink greens powder multiple times a week. Just anything that can cleanse your body of impurities and what's no longer supposed to be there. That's really, really important for a bodily cleanse. And last, I of course recommend disconnecting from the energy that exists in your phone and really adapting to the world around you, because that in and of itself is an extremely grounding experience. Things like painting, drawing, writing, sculpting, being in nature, getting active, anything like that. Those are all great non-screen related activities that are going to take us out of our phones and into the present moment. And I think that that is so important, because even just a few minutes of creative activity or physical activity a day has been shown to have so many amazing benefits for both our mental health and our physical health, and also our spiritual health, because again, it's all about bettering our spiritual hygiene. And when we can take a break from the frequencies and vibrations and energy that we are constantly intaking from our phones, we're able to slow down and ground ourselves as we should be. Overall, I wanted this video to be just a loose and gentle reminder of some easy things that you can do when you're in need of a reset spiritually. I think, like I said, that it looks different for everyone, and you should adapt your routine to what works best for you, and that's totally okay to do. So if some of these steps don't align with you, then that's fine, and that's just how it is. But I hope that these were a gentle reminder of the things you can do to invest in yourself and your home and the space around you, and to really ground you further in your own body, because the gift of self is the most important thing that we'll have in this lifetime. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to give it a big thumbs up for more, because I will be back very soon with a new video. But until then, peace and love. Bye.